Hey guys, so we're going to do How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way by Stanley and John Buscema. So right now we're just going to get into where to talk about all this stuff. So in the beginning we're using ink brushes, pens, ink jars, Indian ink, rulers, drawing boards, ink compasses. Like they're just telling you what to get. They're just going over some of the stuff right here. So they're just doing the secrets of the form and making an object look real. So they use cubes, cylinders, and circles to draw objects such as baseballs, apples, umbrellas. They would use cubes for drawing books, drawing chairs, you know what I mean, or television, or using a cylinder to draw a cylinder or a sphere. I think it's a sphere, I guess. No, a cylinder. So cylinder to draw lamps and a ballad, or yeah, I think that's what it's called. I forgot what it was. Anyways, there's a gun here. They would use cylinders to draw a gun. Cubes, like long cubes, to draw cars. Cylinders to draw airplanes, and they're just going over the shadows right here. So your light source is from behind, and the shadows are coming in the front, and your light source is from the front, and your shadows are in the back. Light source is from the back, so your shadows are in the front. Same right here. The light source is on the right side. Your shadows, no, your light source is on the left side. Your shadows are on the right, you know what I mean? So they would just go over how the shadows would be, and cubes, telling cubes, and with the cars and with the planes or whatever. So the power perspective. So this is a 2-point perspective, where you have 2 points at the end of each point of the horizon line, and they'll just draw a line. So you would draw a line here, and then you would connect each line on the point of each horizon line. So you would draw a line and then connect the top point of the line to the point of the horizon line, right? So they would do that in E, they would do that in F, and this is a 1-point perspective, where you have 1 point right here, and then you draw the line from the point to the vertical line on the page, I guess. So you would just connect the line to each point on the vertical line. And this is 1 perspective again, where you have a point, and then it's you would draw each line hitting towards the point of the perspective line, I guess. So they use the same for the room, using grids to show placement of, if you're making a room or something, you would show grids. You put grids on the ground, not on the ground, but on the page, and then draw vertical lines to tell where you want the object placement. You know what I mean? Same with a wheel of a car. You know what I mean? Like you would write a center point. You'd actually draw a square, and then draw a circle within the square, and then you would get a wheel, you know. So they're just going over things in the comic books and everything. So let's study the figures. So the figure's 8 heads tall. Figure's 8 heads tall right here. The figure's always 8 heads tall, right? So head, chest, torso, pelvis, thigh, knee, calf, ankle, foot, you know. Do the same here, Dr. Doom. So 6 heads tall would be a bigger person. So a bigger person would always have a bigger head, I guess. And well, this is the way they did it back in the day, right? So the bigger person would have would be 6 heads tall, and you know, in comparison to an 8 heads tall figure, which is a man or a woman, right? So a normal sized human being would be 8 heads tall, and a bigger person, like a monstrous person, would probably be 6 heads tall. You know what I mean? They would have 6 heads because they would have a bigger head and a bigger body. You know what I mean? So you have a big head, you know. Then from each placement of the head, there would be the chest, the stomach, the knee, the ankle, and the foot. Right? So they would have that. So let's draw the human figure. So they would have they would draw a stickman first, and then they would pose each pose action based, basically, right? So, you know, at first you would draw the stickman, and then you use cubes and cylinders to tell where the placement of the muscles would be. So they use cubes and cylinders to tell your anatomy, and then they would flesh out the character. You know what I mean? So they would do the same here. They would use the stickman. They would use cubes and cylinders to tell where the anatomy would be on the character, and then they would flesh out the character. You know what I mean? And fleshing out means muscle placement. You know what I mean? And then so they would have like a rough sketch. This is roughly doing it. So this is the more advanced way of doing the cubes and cylinders, because the cubes and cylinders would be the more beginner way of drawing the comic book way, and a rough sketch would be the way that you would tell it is a more advanced way of structuring the human form. You know what I mean? So a very rough sketch, a very rough sketch of a skeleton or a stickman, and then you would just form on top of that, and then you would flesh out the character. Same thing goes here. You know what I mean? So this is Namor right there, and this is, I guess, is the best in a fighting way. This is the best way to show the character action. Show the character in action in a comic book. You know what I mean? The best way would be it to be more flowing, or more dynamic. You know what I mean? So they would so the first one would be the best way, and the last one would be the best way. So anything in the middle of not having the most action in a comic book panel in a human form would be bad, basically, right? Would be too weak, because you don't want the form to look static. You know what I mean? You don't want to draw a line or a line where the spine would be on a human, and then not have any action behind it. You know what I mean? Because it just looks like they're posing, or it just looks like, you know what I mean? It's not telling a story. So you would actually have more movement in the object when you would curve the spine, or, you know what I mean, and show it in a more dynamic pose, basically, like they're doing right here. They curve the spine like this, and show them in a dynamic pose, like throwing a ball or throwing a punch. You know what I mean? So they would do that. Same thing goes here. They would have more of a curve here, more of a curve here for punching, getting hit, punching. You know what I mean? Punching or running. You know what I mean? More of a curve, a swing. You know what I mean? Like the more dynamic the better it is for comic books. You know what I mean? Because in comic books you would tell a story, and these are just poses that you can do within your comic book panel, whatever, when you're making a comic book. So here they would like draw stickmen, they would draw cylinders and cubes for the form. They would flesh out the character, then they would add detail to the character, and then they would use light and shadow, where the light's coming from the back, and the shadows are in the front of the character, you know? Same thing goes here. Stickman, cubes and cylinders, flesh out the character. This is basically fleshing out the character. This is adding detail and muscle to the character, and this is using light and shadow to show the dimension of the character, basically, right? They're just showing this how it goes in the comic books and foreshortening. So they would use cubes and cylinders to tell like the perspective or the human form in action or from a different angle, basically. And this is from B is from down below and A is from up top, where the camera angle is coming from the top, and B is where the camera angle is from below, and it's just showing the human form from a different from the ground up. And this is from bird's eye view of the human form from a different angle, basically, right? So they would just use cubes and cylinders to show that you can put the human form in different perspectives. Any perspective you want, the cube and the cylinder will capture your human form in a great angle when you learn how to flesh out the character on top of the cylinders and cubes, because using the cylinders and cubes will give you more of a better way for muscle placement when showing your human form in a different scene or format or different angle, basically, right? So they would just show this. They would just show this in him flying or jumping. You know what I mean? They would do this over here in different scenes. Black Panther, Magneto, just a guy and someone else. Thing, Ant-Man, Johnny Storm. Same thing right there. So they're not joining the human head. So they would have an egg shape, and with the egg shape, half of that egg shape would be the line, would be the horizontal line on your egg shape. Yeah, so like half of that egg shape would be where the eye placement is, and a quarter down below would be where the nose would be. Half quarter down below would be where the mouth would be. Yeah, so that's what it is. This one, Johnny Storm. Just different angles on the head. So woman-shaped face from the side angle. So what I do is I don't really use this. So with my drawings, I use like the skeleton to tell a story, basically, and then I use muscle insertions to get my anatomy correctly. So I don't know of any muscle insertions books out there. So there's some muscle insertions book. So I suggest that you get a muscle insertions book, because that's the easiest way to show the human form, basically. You know what I mean? Is drawing the skeleton, learning where the muscle insertions are, and then drawing the anatomy over the muscle insertions. So there's muscles all over your body. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? So when you know where the muscle insertions are, then it's easier to draw the human form. You know what I mean? I don't really draw. When I first began drawing comic books, or when I first got into the comic book, like I was in 2000, I was in the comic book. Like I got into comics when I was in 2000. You know what I mean? I didn't stay long because I really wanted to learn how to draw. Because you know, they would tell me how to draw at the comic book place, and I was just like, I never really wanted to draw like that, and I wanted to learn more of how to become an artist for myself, basically. So I went to school, right? And yeah, I just learned to draw from there. You know what I mean? I never really learned anatomy at school. I just learned from books. So I learned figure drawing from school, though. You know what I mean? And figure drawing really helps you get the details of the characters. You know what I mean? But if you want to learn anatomy and muscle insertions and stuff like that, just buy books or whatever, or learn that at your school and just figure that out. You know what I mean? But using this is good for beginners. You know what I mean? So what I use is the skeleton, basically. So this is the skeleton that I use, basically. You know what I mean? So I just use this guy right here. You know what I mean? So that's good to know for muscle insertions and everything, right? So yeah. So this is the human head, the nose connecting down there. The different expressions of the faces of that. Like I used to draw expressions all the time as when I was like young, you know what I mean? But I don't really draw expressions anymore. Like I don't know why. Like I don't know. It's like the older you get, the less expressive you become. Like, especially with me. Like I don't express myself that much, so I don't like. I don't really see these facial expressions like when I talk to somebody, I would see these facial expressions, but I think I just have one expression the whole time, so I don't really like make these faces. When I was younger, I would have a face like this, but I don't have faces like this no more. You know what I mean? I'd be more animated when I was younger, but as you get older, you're just like you're just old, right? So you're just always grumpy, basically, right? So you know what I mean? This would be the lips placement, how to draw the mouth with a pleasing shape. Yeah, so you know, this is definitely the shape that you don't want. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people out there that do have lips like this, but this is not very attractive, I guess. I don't mind this, you know what I mean? But you really want your lips to look like this because it's more full. It's the way the lips would look, more soft. You know what I mean? I really wouldn't want to get into noses because different cultures have different noses. So you know what I mean? The thing is, when you go into these, when you get into the industry, like back then, there was only one way to draw the nose. And that's it. And coming from a different culture, I know that noses are very different when it comes to different races. So I wouldn't always agree with with those guys when it came to drawing the nose. I was just like, I'm not drawing the nose like that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I wouldn't draw the nose like that. I wouldn't agree with how they were teaching me how to draw when I got into comics when I was younger, right? So I didn't draw the way they wanted me to draw, right? So yeah, I went to school and I found out that it was way more diverse at school, like way more diverse, because I wasn't the only culture there. There was back in the day, there was everybody from every culture there. You know what I mean? So it was fantastic. Like I learned so much, and I basically had the time of my life when I was at school there. You know what I mean? So it was really fun. You know. Yeah, it was just so diverse. You know, and it was fun. Like, you know, this is just going at different angles and different ways that you can tell the story from drawing the comic book characters. They're getting into panels. You know what I mean? How to be more dynamic when it comes to drawing the way you do. You know what I mean? Telling more of a storyline, being more action, telling more of a story within your comic book, basically. So you know what I mean. But I realize if you want to tell more of a story, you probably got to get this book right here, because this book would it's visual storytelling by Carl Potts. It's forwarded by Jim Lee, and yeah, you learn to tell a story with this book. You know what I mean? I was going to talk about this book, but I'm not really going to get into the storytelling thing. Like maybe one day, but I don't know right now. Draw your own comic page using the Stickman, using cylinders and cubes to tell the story of your characters, fleshing out your characters, detailing your characters, showing them emotion, detailing everything. And they would do the same thing here. Stickman, cylinders and cubes, fleshing out the character, using light and shadow to show the dimension of the character, and then rendering your character for the final look. You know what I mean? So they would do the same thing there. Comic book cover. Always have a dynamic comic book cover, you know what I mean? Your title, two characters fighting on top to just show the what your story would be about, you know what I mean? Spider-Man and Nova fighting at a library or a bookstore, and the art of inking. Using brush, cross-hatching basically. You can use a nib, you know, everybody uses the nib. Like, not everybody, they usually use pens, but manga artists use a nib, a lot of manga artists use nib. I use nib because it's so straight to the point, you know what I mean? And so beautifully made. So yeah, that's the end of the book, guys. So yeah, you can probably pick this up on Amazon. So if you want to learn how to draw comics, get this book and have some fun drawing comics. Alright guys, later, bye.